Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. One of the things I've always liked about these guys is their wide range of options. If you're having a weird deal with spiders, which I had a couple of years ago, you call them, they come out for a one-time treatment, dead spiders. If you want to get regular residential or commercial treatments, they can set them up according to your calendar. Whatever you want to do, Southeast Termite and Pest Control is the group to do it with. Give them a shout this week. All right. Want to welcome in the next two members of our panel. We got here Sterling Hinton, VFL.
Glad to be here, John.
David Ligon, VFL.
Good to see you.
I'm glad to have you guys here. It's our Hot Reads Part 2. So I got a question just for you two. Former quarterback, former O-lineman. I'm going to start with the O-lineman. What's the relationship between a quarterback and an O-line right now when the O-line knows it's getting the quarterback and the running backs killed? Are you carrying your head high, or is like, hey, man, how you doing? You bruised? You okay? All right. How are you handling that as an offensive lineman? Can you even worry about it?
I think some part of you realizes that your job is to protect that person. And when you're not getting your job done, I don't see how you can have any pride about the way you go about things. So it's certainly going to be something that you should be spending extra time in the film room. It's hard to spend a lot of time in the weight room during the season just because you beat yourself up in practice all the time. But these guys need help strength-wise, so they should probably be in the weight room as well. But absolutely, it's something that, I don't know if you're babying the guy and saying, hey, let me go get your lunch here for you, but you recognize that's your job. You got to take care of them. You're not getting it done.
These guys need to get stronger, you say.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to our first segment. All right, Sterling Hinton, let me ask you, and before you say all the right things, Josh Dobbs said the right things last night. After the game, he actually went on ABC and said, well, our offensive line was dominant from the beginning. And Samantha Ponder had to say, well, hold on. But he's saying the right things. He's saying team leadery things. But when you go back into your suite, when you go back to your apartment, and you look at you're covered in bruises, you're sore, you don't have a lot of time, what are you thinking as a quarterback?
Been there. I've been there. And, I understand some of the frustration and the love that Josh has for his teammates that he's going through right now. But my luxury as a quarterback, I thought I was pretty decent as a quarterback. What made me a good quarterback is I was able to get my players to play well for me. So I would always make sure I had an intimate relationship with every player on my offense to where I knew that button to push to get them to play better to make me look good. And so I think right now it's a relationship situation with Josh that spend more time with some players on the offense to find that button to make them go harder.
You saw him talking to a couple of the linemen during the game last night. Backup quarterback Sharon Jones got into him a little bit also and fired him up last night.
Absolutely.
All right, let me move on to Daniel and Chuck down there, and I'll start with Daniel. The Vols defense allowed 400 yards yesterday, but 200 came in the first quarter. But you got pushed around at times, okay? There's no debating that. However, on the other side, you got 5 turnovers. You get into the first meeting room after that game, what's the defensive reaction? Heck yeah, we forced turnovers, or boy, those turnovers really saved our bacon. Where are you on that one mentally?
On this one, I'm kind of like, how do we find a way to play good in the first quarter? Because that's where our issue is. Because you look at, if you give 10 points up to a Virginia Tech team that had number 7, number 1, number 4 at quarterback, that's a good offense. And to only give up 10 points in 3 quarters, I thought that was a pretty good success. But
I thought it was 14.
Well, they had 14 in the first, and then the final score was
10 the rest.
Yeah, 10 the rest of the game. It's all right, I got you there, Chuck. Early morning. But and so that's where I'm at. Is how do we play well in that first quarter? Because when you look at, we got decent pressure in the second half, forced some big sacks in order to get off the field. But the run game, I don't know what we do there. I guess it's strength. Maybe we got to recruit better. We got to do something because we're averaging 4.5, 5 yards a carry giving up. And when we play someone like Alabama, why would you even throw the ball? Just run the ball until we stop it.
And Chuck, very quickly, your response to Bob Shoop start at Tennessee?
Not quite as good as hoped. There seems to be, listening to player comments, some communication issues early in the game. And I think that goes directly to what you're seeing and the run defense. Goodness gracious, if you're an opposing offensive coordinator and you have some weapons, you're kind of licking your chops to get after this group.
Agreed. All right, last Thursday, on our Fox 43 show, 7 p.m. Thursday, set your DVR right now. Just do it now. 7 p.m. Thursday, Fox 43, Sports Source kickoff. We put forth some stats on Thursday, and I had to keep a couple of people on Twitter. So that won't matter. They're not going to run on us. Virginia Tech can't run. Let me show you the stats here. If we got it on Bob Shoop versus the run. 8 of the last 11 teams, this counts last night, it was 7 out of 10, 8 of the last 11 teams to face Bob Shoop have rushed for 166 or more yards. Those 11 teams have averaged 178.6 yards per game. And for those who say, well, that was at Penn State, he's given up 184 and 180 yards to Appy State and Virginia Tech, and I think you're going to see better run games in the Southeastern Conference. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world, doesn't mean it's Sinceri Part 2, does mean that's something that bears watching moving forward. All right, when we come back, more on the offensive line. I told you we'd have a lot of stuff on that. They had some moves on that line during the game. Which ones look like they could help, and do any of them look like they're long-term fixes? Help versus complete fix. We'll discuss. Come on back on the Sports Source.